Gentlemen, if you're a man over 65 and you feel like there are health topics you've never dared to ask about, I need you to listen very closely because what I'm about to reveal today could completely change your perspective on well-being at this stage of your life. Just 2 weeks ago, a man I'll call John walked into my office. After pacing around the waiting room for nearly half an hour, he finally sat down across from me, and with a tremor in his voice, he said, "Doctor, I'm 72 years old and there's something I need to ask you, but I'm just so embarrassed." When he finally worked up the courage to ask his question, I knew I had to share this information with more men just like you. I'm Dr. Olivia Grant, and with over 20 years of experience treating men in their golden years, I've heard this same question whispered in shame hundreds of times. Today, that silence ends. John's question was simple, yet profound. "Doctor," he began, "at my age, is it still, normal for me to have those private moments with myself?" And right there, that's the heart of the problem. We've built a culture where talking about masturbation after 65 is almost a complete taboo. But let me tell you something that might just blow your mind. It's not only normal, but modern science is telling us it may be one of the most powerful, underutilized tools for protecting your health. Yes, you heard that correctly. The very practice that nobody talks about could be shielding you from prostate cancer, improving your heart health, and even sharpening your mind. But here's the most critical part. As John looked at me with eyes full of doubt, I knew I had to explain everything. The benefits, yes, but also the risks. Because like everything in medicine, it's not black and white. It's a spectrum of grays that you need to understand completely. You see, when we talk about male sexual health after 65, we're talking about so much more than just pleasure. We're talking about survival, and survival with a high quality of life. And this brings me to a crucial point. Imagine your body as a magnificent machine that has been running for over 6 decades. Like any machine, it needs maintenance. And one of the most important, yet least discussed maintenance routines involves your sexual health. Robert, another one of my patients, explained it to me perfectly. "Doctor, it's like owning a classic car," he said. "If you don't start it up every once in a while, the engine seizes up and things start to rust from the inside out." And he was absolutely right. What I discovered next was even more revealing. At Harvard University, researchers conducted a landmark study that followed over 30,000 men for decades, and the results were staggering. Men who maintained a regular frequency of ejaculation, whether with a partner or alone, had up to a 33% lower risk of developing prostate cancer. 33%. That's not a small number, my friends. In a country where the American Cancer Society estimates that about 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in his lifetime, a 33% reduction in risk isn't just a statistic. It's a potential lifeline. It's the difference between living in fear and living with confidence. As I was explaining this to another patient, Michael, he interrupted me. "But doctor, I always thought that was bad for the prostate. And that's the myth we need to bust right now. What our grandfathers might have told us, based on old wives' tales or cultural hang-ups, has been completely debunked by modern science. Think of it like flushing a pipe. If you never run water through it, sediment and gunk build up, substances that can become toxic over time. Your prostate is no different. When you ejaculate, your prostate cleanses itself. You are quite literally flushing the system from the inside, clearing out potential carcinogens and preventing the buildup of harmful substances. When I showed the studies to Frank, he couldn't believe it. His entire expression changed. The shame on his face melted away, replaced first by relief, and then by a spark of curiosity. "Doctor," he asked, "so what are the specific benefits?" And that is exactly the conversation we're going to have right now, because there are at least 10 scientifically proven benefits that every man needs to know. First, and this is fundamental, it improves the nutrition and overall health of your penis. I know that might sound strange, but think of it like a garden. If you don't water the plants, they wither. Every time you have an erection, oxygen-rich blood floods the internal tissues. The corpora cavernosa, the spongy chambers that run along the length of your penis, are filled with vital nutrients. It's literally a health spa for your most intimate organ. Without this regular irrigation, the tissues can become less elastic, more fibrotic, lose sensitivity, and over time, erectile function can deteriorate. If this information is already opening your eyes, wait until you hear what's next. And by the way, if you know another man who needs to hear this, a brother, a friend, a neighbor, do him a favor and share this video. You could genuinely change his life, just like this knowledge changed John's. Because the second benefit is even more impactful. It's a direct ally for your prostate. For years, we were told the opposite, weren't we? That any excessive activity was harmful. Well, science has proven the exact opposite. That Harvard study I mentioned followed men from their 40s all the way into their 80s. They found that those who ejaculated 21 or more times per month had a significantly lower risk of prostate cancer. 21 times. That averages out to about 5 times a week. And it didn't matter if it was with a partner or solo. The protective effect was the same. The theory is simple but powerful. Ejaculation clears the prostatic ducts, removing potential cancer-causing agents and preventing toxic substances from accumulating. While I was sharing this with a patient named Peter, he grew very quiet. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Doctor, does that mean all those years I held back out of shame might have actually hurt me?" And the honest answer is yes, it's possible. Silence and shame can be more dangerous than any disease. But the important thing is that now you know. Now you can make informed decisions about your health. The third benefit is one that surprises all my patients. It strengthens your pelvic floor. Those muscles you probably didn't even know you had are absolutely crucial for your quality of life. They support your bladder and your rectum. They control urinary continence. With every orgasm, these muscles contract rhythmically. It's like doing Kegel exercises, but in a natural and pleasurable way. I remember Frank, who was 72. After his prostate surgery, he suffered from post-micturition dribble, those annoying little drops that stain your underwear. It's a common issue for men who've had procedures available through Medicare or the VA. When he started maintaining regular sexual activity, combined with specific exercises, the improvement was dramatic. In 2 months, he told me, "Doc, I don't need those protective pads anymore." He regained control, and not just of his bladder, he regained his confidence. He stopped avoiding social outings for fear of an accident. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. The fourth benefit is directly tied to your heart and your blood pressure. It's a natural stress reliever. And I'm not talking about cheap philosophy. I'm talking about pure biochemistry. When you orgasm, your body drastically reduces levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that inflames your arteries, elevates your blood pressure, and keeps you in a constant state of high alert. David explained it to me perfectly. "Doctor, ever since my wife passed away 3 years ago, The stress was killing me. I couldn't sleep. My blood pressure was through the roof. The meds helped, but it wasn't enough. When he finally overcame his hesitation and resumed his intimate life, including private moments with himself, the changes were remarkable. His blood pressure stabilized, he started sleeping through the night, and he told me something beautiful. I feel like I'm honoring my wife's memory by taking care of my health. You see, it's not just about sex. It was never just about sex. It's about holistic health, quality of life, and dignity in aging. This leads us to the fifth benefit, which is absolutely marvelous. Your brain becomes its own natural pharmacy. With each orgasm, your brain releases a cocktail of neurochemicals that no lab can replicate. Dopamine, the molecule of pleasure and motivation. Oxytocin, the cuddle hormone that makes us feel connected and at peace. Endorphins, your body's natural painkillers, more potent than morphine. Serotonin, the natural antidepressant your body produces for free. All of this floods your brain, creating that profound sense of well-being. As Michael told me, "Doctor, it's better than any pill for my mood." And he was right. Now, let me tell you something you might have never considered. The sixth benefit is a life-saving preventative tool. Regular masturbation is a form of medical self-examination, and let's be honest, we know men in the U.S. can be stubborn about going to the doctor. A Cleveland Clinic survey showed that nearly 2/3 of American men avoid it for as long as possible. This simple act of self-familiarity can be your first line of defense. Every time you touch yourself, you're doing a checkup. How's the sensitivity? Are there any strange lumps on the testicles? Do you feel any pain during erection? Do you notice changes in shape or texture? 6 months ago, a patient named George detected a small, pea-sized lump on his right testicle during one of these intimate moments. He came to my office immediately. It was a tumor in a very early stage. We operated in time, and today he is completely healthy. He told me, "Doctor, if I had remained too embarrassed to touch myself, I might not be here to tell this story." He's right. Knowing your own body can be the difference between life and death. The seventh benefit is one that all my older patients especially appreciate. It promotes more restorative sleep. If you're like most men your age, insomnia is probably a frequent visitor. You go to bed tired, but your mind won't shut off. You toss and turn, get up to use the bathroom 3 times, and you're exhausted the next day. Well, here is a natural and pleasant solution. Orgasm releases prolactin, a hormone that induces deep drowsiness. At the same time, it lowers that stress hormone cortisol, allowing your mind to finally relax. It's like flipping a switch on your worries. A patient named Albert described it perfectly. "Doc, it's my natural sleeping pill. 15 minutes later, I'm out like a light, and I sleep straight through the night." But wait, because it gets even better. The eighth benefit has to do with something we often lose over the years: the connection with our own body. As we age, we can start to see our body as an enemy, a source of aches, limitations, and frustrations. Conscious masturbation is a way of making peace with that body. It's an act of self-love, of acceptance, of celebrating that after all these years, it is still capable of giving you pleasure. Walter, at 78, expressed it to me with tears in his eyes. "Doctor, for the first time in years, I don't hate my body. I've learned to love it with its wrinkles, its gray hair, and its limitations. It's still my faithful companion." This brings me to the ninth benefit, which is especially important for those of you with a partner. It helps you understand and control your sexual responses. Many men suffer from premature or delayed ejaculation without knowing why. Masturbation offers a private laboratory to experiment, to learn your own rhythm, to discover what stimulates you, and to practice control techniques. Ray had this problem after decades of marriage. The frustration was straining his relationship. When he started practicing the stop-start technique on his own, he learned to recognize his body's signals and control his response. His wife called me to thank me. "Doctor, you saved our marriage," she said. It wasn't me. It was Ray, who had the courage to work on himself.
By the way, I'm curious to know what you think. Have any of these benefits surprised you? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on more frank discussions like this one.
The 10th and final benefit is perhaps the most profound. It keeps the pathways of desire alive. Your brain, not your penis, is your most important sexual organ. Desire is born in the mind, in memories, fantasies, and neural connections. If you stop using these circuits, they atrophy. It's like a path in the forest. If no one walks on it, it gets overgrown with weeds. But when you maintain regular sexual activity, including masturbation, you are keeping that path clear. The neurons keep firing. The libido remains active. A patient named Jean explained it wonderfully. "Doctor, at 75, I still feel that inner fire. It's not a bonfire like it was when I was 20, but it's there. A nice warm ember, reminding me that I'm still alive."
Look, everything I've told you is backed by decades of research, thousands of studies, and millions of men who have experienced these benefits firsthand. But as your doctor, my first duty is to be completely transparent. None of this replaces your regular medical checkups. This is no substitute for seeing your physician or your urologist. If you're over 50 or over 45 for African American men or those with a family history, that PSA test and digital rectal exam are non-negotiable. Early detection saves lives. John, the patient I told you about at the beginning, left my office a new man. Not because I prescribed expensive medications, but because I gave him permission to be human, to take care of himself without shame, to understand that pleasure and health go hand in hand, especially at this stage of life. But, and this is a very important but, just as there are wonderful benefits, there are also risks you must be aware of. There are incorrect ways of doing things that can cause injury, addictions that can develop, and alarm bells you must not ignore. That's why I've prepared a follow-up video where I explain the 10 most common mistakes and risks. Believe me, ignoring these risks could turn something beneficial into something harmful. I've seen cases of men who, due to a lack of information, injured themselves, developed dependencies, or ignored serious symptoms thinking they were normal. You deserve to have all the information, the benefits and the risks, the bright side and the necessary precautions. Seeing Frank now, at 74, this knowledge I've shared today could be the most valuable gift you give yourself, the key to golden years that are healthier, fuller, and happier. But remember, knowledge without action is just entertainment. Take what you've learned today and use it. Talk to your doctor if you have questions. Explore your body without guilt. And above all, do not forget to watch the video on the risks because taking good care of yourself means understanding the complete picture. I'm Dr. Olivia Grant, and it has been an honor to have this honest conversation with you. Because your health, your well-being, and your happiness in these golden years, that truly matters. It matters a great deal, and you deserve to live it to the fullest, without shame, with information, and above all, with the dignity you have earned over a lifetime. To make sure you don't miss that critical follow-up video, Click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell right now so you're the first to know when it drops. I'll see you in our next conversation.